Marc Del Piero is running for Monterey County Supervisor, District 5. That's the Pacific Grove, Monterey. You go down to Big Sur. I know I'll forget some parts of it, but includes Salinas as well, the 68 corridor, part of Salinas. The website, delpiero4supervisor.com. And, Coach, you brought this issue to my attention even before Mark did, all the outcry about the hikes in the cost of water in people's homes. So I wanted to invite Mark to discuss that. You want to intro that topic, though, please?
Oh, yeah, just the fact that the bills that have been coming from Cal-Am, what's your take on that? Some of these people just getting outrageous charges for their water, Mark.
Well, Coach, you may recall back in, I think it was either in April or in May, when you and Hal were kind enough to have me on the station, and we talked about water. I think it might have been the first time that you both interviewed me. We talked about water, and we talked about what I anticipated was going to ultimately happen, and now we're starting to realize what the consequences of the lack of local government control, or frankly the lack of any kind of attention being paid by local government officials to what Cal-Am has been doing up at the California Public Utilities Commission is going to cost everyone. You have not seen the end of the increase in water bills on the Monterey Peninsula. You've simply seen the beginning. There are actual increases that are currently pending in front of the California Public Utilities Commission that Cal-Am has requested that haven't even made the front page of the newspapers yet. There is a whole host of increases for a variety of supposed services that Cal-Am has provided, all of which are currently pending before the California Public Utilities Commission, all of which Cal-Am reasonably believes it's going to be successful in getting approval, and all of which will be applied to each and every one of our respective water bills over the course of the next coming months. You're probably looking at about a 300% increase in your water bill from what it is today.
All right, we got
over the course of the next 4 years.
Wow, 300% increase, so 4 times what you're paying now. We got Marc Del Piero on the line. We got a caller. Let's see if we can get that caller on in a second. Hear a little bit of noise. Let's ask if we can be quiet. Marc Del Piero with us, Del Piero for Supervisor.com. Do the Monterey County supervisors have the ability to rein in some of these rate increases, Mark?
No, actually, the Board of Supervisors don't have the ability to rein in increases once they have been adopted and approved by the Public Utilities Commission. The problem is that the Board of Supervisors do and should have been appearing before the California Public Utilities Commission for the better part of the last 10 years. And it's only been in the last 6 or 7 months, particularly since the general public has become outraged at the bills that they're receiving, that now the Board of Supervisors is showing up in front of the California Public Utilities Commission. Additionally, what needs to be going on is there needs to be a comprehensive review of the entirety of the Cal-Am bills, because for years Cal-Am has been adding advertising costs, public information costs, education costs, like layers, like a stack of pancakes onto the bill, and no one has gone back to review those prior approved costs and billings that are currently on our water bills. It's become so prohibitive that I've actually heard of senior citizens who are on fixed incomes in Pacific Grove and out in Carmel Valley having to choose between whether or not they're going to be able to go to a grocery store and or pay a water bill. And the sad thing about it is that it periodically makes the front page of the newspaper or on news programs like your radio station has, but then everyone forgets about it, except for the senior citizens on fixed income who have to pay it month in and month out.
All right, we got Marc Del Piero with us. Let me just jump in real quick. 744. Caller, who's this?
Hey, this is Alex.
Hey, Alex, you got a question or comment for Mark?
No, I was going to talk about the...
I'll tell you what, let me put you on hold or call back in a little bit because we are talking water with Marc Del Piero, and so we'll let Alex go for now and continue the conversation for a few more minutes with Marc Del Piero, who's running for Monterey County Supervisor, District 5. He was the top vote getter just by a tiny sliver over the incumbent, Dave Potter, and you did receive the endorsement of the third candidate in that race, Carmelita Garcia. So I think you got to feel optimistic, Mark, about your chances.
Thanks for pointing that out, Hal. We are going to be working very, very hard. We've already started, and we're going to be working very, very hard to reach out to every voter in the district. We're going to be walking every neighborhood in the district, and we're going to be doing our best to try and finish this off in November so we can try and fix some of the major problems that are facing the Monterey Peninsula over the course of the next 10 years or so.
Right.
You know, it's become very difficult in this economy for businesses to be able to keep up, and for individuals who are paying bills to be able to keep up with their bills, and it's been sort of sad that the Board of Supervisors hasn't recognized the financial problems that folks on the peninsula are facing.
Well, I think that's a great point, Mark. I do want to just take issue with one comment. Certainly Jane Parker, a friend of this station, I think she's very focused as well on the problems that the average Monterreyan faces. But it does seem that there's always a compromise between what big business wants and what's best for the rest of us. 7:46, we got Coach and Marc Del Piero with us. And, Coach, Mark's been great to come on the show a number of different times, and my task to you is to try to get his opponent on. Maybe we can see if we can have the two of them debate.
Well, I'll tell you what, Michelle, our friend from PG, is a lot better and very aggressive at trying to invite people onto the show, Hal, and she's extended multiple invitations to Dave Potter, who has yet to respond, although I understand he's having weekly discussions with Dave. Boy, that's kind of clever. And maybe he could have one of those discussions with Dave with us. Yeah. But so far, no, he has not. For some reason, he doesn't want to come on and talk with me. And I still advise him, as I did Mark, I would advise buying some advertising. It's not about me. It's about the people who listen to the station trying to get their support.
You're going to hear some Marc Del Piero ads, I think, coming up. But right now, quick break, and then more on AM 540 AM.
Clear water. Clear water.
All right, Coach, I take a lot of heat for my music selections, but could anything have been more spot on for our discussion about water then?
Oh, that was great. Now, was that an 80 or 90-year-old song, Hal? I'm not quite sure.
Come on. Hank Williams, we're only talking 60 years, Coach. Come on.
I'm sorry. Thank you very much. Hank Williams Sr., of course, not to be confused with his dirtbag son, Bo Peepers.
No, not his dirtbag son or grandson. Marc Del Piero with us. And, Mark, you even probably, going back a little bit of time, and some people saying they don't want you in because you're this young Republican gun who's going to be moving up the ladder, and as you've told us before, this is your last bid for public office. Is that right? You're not looking to move up beyond supervisor?
I want to be a county supervisor again because we've got so many problems on the Monterey Peninsula, and I don't have any plans to run for any other office. I'm 59 years old, and if I do this effectively and do it well, I will be very happy closing out my career in this position.
Well, you've impressed everyone who speaks to you. I know the Green Party very, very happy with the answers you gave and the complete answers, and that's how we feel as well at KRXA. Real quick, you mentioned the higher costs of water, but isn't that what you have to expect as we have shortages of this life's necessity?
Well, you expect an elevated increase, or I guess that's redundant. The fact of the matter is you expect an increase in water charges, but we've already experienced that. The fact of the matter is the Monterey Peninsula and the citizens of the Monterey Peninsula are some of the best water conservers in the state. But there's an unintended consequence that results from that. CalAmp's profits drop when we conserve water. And so that's why our water bills continue to go up for things that people don't quite think are really appropriate, because that's the only way that CalAmp can continue to make money without developing a desalination plant.
All right, Coach, and you had a follow-up. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just interested. Are there going to be any debates coming forward, Mark, between you and your opponent for the race of supervisor?
You know, I hope there are. As you noted, Coach, we've indicated and we've told every party that's called us up and wanted us to debate that we'd be there, and we haven't missed an opportunity to do that. However, near the end of the campaign, before the primary, there were a number of invitations that we accepted that the other side didn't accept. So I can't tell you at this point. It's sort of hard to know.
But you are ready to debate, and it seems as if the incumbent not so much wanting to do so.
If someone wants us to appear, I can assure you I will be there 30 minutes early.
Nice.
All right, Coach, thanks for that, and I'm glad we got that out on the table and really hope that Dave Potter does take you up. I think that the voters of the area in District 5, Mark, deserve a chance to hear both of you two on stage together responding to the legitimate questions that we have. And a legitimate question that's been bandied about certainly throughout the peninsula is who would, if we do have desal, who is going to build it, who is going to own it? And what is your answer to those questions?
Well, as I've indicated before, I authored the ordinance that requires public ownership of a desalination plant, and I still support public ownership of a desalination plant because a public agency under California law isn't allowed to charge a profit over and above what its actual costs are. I think the California Public Utilities Commission did a disservice by basically pursuing the now defunct regional desal plant without having prior evidence of water rights to sustain that plant. And the Superior Court overturned the EIR and sent them back to the drawing board essentially because the analysis that was done by the PUC staff in conjunction with the California American Water Company and the Marina Coast Water District was so defective and so flawed. But there are three alternatives. There needs to be a full and complete environmental analysis of each one of the alternatives, including an economic analysis, and it can't be piecemeal. It's got to be all done at the same time so the voters can know exactly which one is the best deal for the voters, for the ratepayers, over both the short term and the long term.
Do we need desal? Because that's what Jason Burnett said on this show. That's what I believe Carmelita Garcia has said. So you have two mayors saying the same thing. I'm skeptical, Mark. I kind of am with Jane Parker that I want to make sure that we cannot figure out a different way to go.
We need a small desal plant. The size of the plant needs to be sized in order to meet the current requirements of the order from the State Water Resources Control Board. And I've said this before in a number of public debates, if we want a bigger increment to accommodate larger amounts of growth on the Monterey Peninsula, that needs to be Phase 2 with a separate environmental impact report, but not Phase 1. Phase 1 needs to address our current existing needs, and then the voters need to decide, because it would be owned by a public agency, the voters would decide how much additional growth they'd want as part of Phase 2.
All right, last question. Jason Burnett wants public ownership. I do too, but he says he would be satisfied, or at least would certainly be willing to consider partial ownership, shared public-private partnership with Cal-Am. Are you in the same place as he is?
No, I'm not. I think that is a very, very rocky road that puts a public agency at a decided disadvantage with a multi-billion-dollar corporation that has multinational interests. It is not in a good place, and it doesn't do what needs to be done, which is keep the voters of the Monterey Peninsula, all of the Monterey Peninsula voters, in charge of their future water supply.
Coach, anything from you before we go to our next call?
No, I'm pretty happy.
I'll tell you, he answers the questions. He comes on, he takes the tough questions, he responds. Then we're talking about Marc Del Piero. I mean, what more do you want? And he, I think you're very clear, and I actually agree with you. I don't want private public. I'd rather have just public. Let's go to the phones. I think we've got Jose Mendez. I could be wrong. Is that you, Jose?
Hey, good morning, Hal. How are you?
I'm great. How about yourself?
Good. Good morning, Coach.
Hey, Jose.
And Mr. Del Piero.
Go ahead,
morning,
Jose.
Sir. How are you?
Yeah, obviously I'm a delegate of the Monterey and Santa Cruz County Building Trades, and the concerns that we have in the building trades in regards to which way we're going to go, whether it's towards Dave or Mark, is the balance that the building trades feels that the county soups needs. Right now we feel that, or most of the delegates in the building trades feels that if Mark wins, that there will be very, very little, if none, development at all in the county of Monterey, but more specific at Fort Ord. So can Mark touch up on that?
All right, fair question, Jose.
Sure.
And can you go ahead and respond very briefly? The show's coming to an end, this hour of it.
Sure. Jose, there are already 5,000 housing units already approved on paper. They don't need to go back in front of anybody for a hearing. 5,000 housing units already approved at Fort Ord. There is a huge swath of commercial and industrial subdivisions already approved along Reservation Road that have sat empty for 20 years. The Fort Ord Reuse Authority has basically been ineffective in filling those vacant lots of record up. There's water for all those vacant lots of record. There's not water for all of the housing units, but there's water for all the commercial.
I got it, Mark. So you're saying there's development that can go forward regardless of who's elected, and that's going to have to do it for this hour. Thanks for listening.
Corrupt